Good afternoon to you. Mark Sutt with HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane Outlook and discussion for Saturday, September 24th, 2016. We can finally say goodbye to Karl here in Bermuda. Came within 60 miles last night in the overnight hours. Did not make it to hurricane intensity, and now it's moving away. This is Lisa, briefly a tropical storm because of that blow-up of convection that very quickly was removed and dissipated from the center of circulation. Here's a close-up of Karl as it moves away from Bermuda. The sunset out here tonight probably will be spectacular with all the cirrus outflow still in the area. And then tomorrow it'll be absolutely gorgeous in Bermuda. Water temperatures out here very warm. So if you have vacation plans out there, no major problems in Bermuda, maybe a few scattered power outages. But really that's about it. It was not a major incident for the area, so that's great. And so now we will begin focusing our attention on soon to be designated area 97L. And briefly, what does that mean? Basically, instead of calling everything a suspect area or this disturbance or that disturbance, the National Hurricane Center labels these systems as areas of investigation, or INVEST for short, and a numbering system, 90 through 99, and the letter L for Atlantic. And actually, technically, they are AL 90 through 99. We just call it 99L or 97L or whatever for convenience. So the numbers, they keep going round and round each year, depending on how busy the season is. And you remember how long-lived 99L was. It eventually became Hermine. Well, we've already gone past 90L again, and 91, 92, 93, etc. And now we're back up so that this system out here would be 97L, probably designated later today. So this has a pretty good shot at developing on its way westward towards the eastern Caribbean, now up to 60% in the 5-day range, and I think that'll continue to climb as we move out into time. This is what it looks like. Where is it, you might ask? You say, well, Mark, it really doesn't look like much there, and it doesn't. But there's a lot of energy and moisture in here in this overall envelope at a fairly low latitude, roughly 10 degrees north by about 30 degrees west. And you can see that better on this pouch analysis. And what is that? Well, these are these areas of interest that get designated in the research community even before they become invests, these 90Ls or whatever. And here it is right here, pouch number 39L, and I don't have an animation of it at the moment, but you can see there's this curl in the moisture field, lots of energy and moisture associated with it. And these other ones, for example, this one went on to become Karl. And this is a little area worth watching, but really no big deal. And this is Lisa, with its moisture being stretched out. All sorts of things you can see with these satellite analysis tools these days. But this is the one that we're really going to be watching right here. Came off of Africa at a fairly low latitude. And once again, it has a lot of energy associated with it. This is the vorticity signature. And it's starting to increase slowly but surely down here. And it's looking like all systems go, checking all the different sources, all the different ensemble members, the various models, the different parameters, all kinds of things that you can, sort of like a checklist for development, and everything seems to be favorable as this moves generally towards the probably the Windward Islands here over time, maybe farther north, maybe farther to the south. Trinidad and Tobago, definitely want to keep an eye on this, Barbados, etc., as this heads generally your way. Now, I don't expect much to happen with it for several reasons. It's still out here in sort of the marginal sea surface temperature area, low heat content overall, but once it gets past about 40 degrees longitude, the upper ocean heat content starts to increase pretty substantially, and this will probably begin blossoming more after it crosses 40 west. They say that it's moving 20 to 25 miles per hour. That's pretty fast. It's embedded deep in the trade winds, and I'll show you that in just a moment on the GFS analysis. The big concern here is, and a lot of people watching the models out into time, obviously as it approaches the Windward Islands, and this is just an example, this isn't necessarily the track that it would take, but assuming that it comes through this general area, upper ocean heat content increases, And then it just goes crazy with the available energy from there. So yes, interests in Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Central America, the Yucatan, etc. You need to be paying attention to this, because down the road, it does not appear, it's not etched in stone, but it does not appear that we'll have some big sweeping trough coming off the East Coast to turn this out like that. I'm not seeing that in any of the model guidance to speak of. It's not impossible, but it's very warm over the eastern part of North America right now. We've got a very warm western Atlantic. Most of the water temperatures running substantially above normal in a lot of locations. So very strong ridging over eastern North America. It's September 24th, and again, I think it's near 90 degrees in Atlanta. Going to be near 90 in Washington, D.C. if it doesn't surpass that. I'm down here along the coast where it's modified just a little bit, so we're going to be in the upper 80s today. We haven't had a fall cool shot with one of these deep sweeping troughs come in yet and empty a bunch of cool Canadian dry air on top of us, and therefore the pattern is conducive for trouble. And this could spell trouble, especially first for our friends here in the Eastern Caribbean. A look at the sea surface temperatures. These are actual temperatures. These are not departures from normal, or what we call anomalies. Check it out. The 29-degree isotherm Celsius moving its way back up again along the southeast coast. Hermine came through, and Julia kind of mixed all this up, but it rebounded so quick. I'm actually surprised at how quickly this rebounded. It shows you the amount of energy and warm water that's available, that it just comes right back. We're getting close to October here. We're about a week away from October, and water temperatures are still in the mid to upper 80s in some portions of the western Atlantic. And so that's going to support this ridging over, and not alone, that's not the sole reason, but it helps to support strong high pressure here over the east, and that's going to bring this system much farther to the west. Looking at the Gulf of Mexico, water temperatures here, all this green color, 30 degrees Celsius, 31 Celsius down here in, Florida Bay? Geography, hold a degree in geography, you think I should know that, right? North of the Keys, we'll call it Collier and Monroe County there, we'll say. I think that's Florida Bay. Very, very warm, shallow compared to out here in the open Gulf, but 31 Celsius, that's just nuts. And then, 29 Celsius in this sort of cyan color. Point is, all of the water temperatures support very strong hurricanes this time of year, and we need to take notice, okay? Because we have something coming that the models are very bullish on. Yep, we have certainly been burned before this season with Hermine especially, last year with Erica. Joaquin, it certainly developed, but it moved out to sea. So we're a little bit leery, but you know what? It only takes one, and nature only has to get it right once, and somebody could be in trouble. So here's the system in the GFS analysis from this morning's run, and we're looking at the 850 millibar layer of the atmosphere. To quote Shrek and Donkey there, remember onions have layers, right? You peel them away, and that whole analogy that they were using in that cute little movie. Well, the atmosphere has layers, and those layers are very complex, similar to human emotions, right? And so that's what they were getting at in the movie there, ogre and donkey emotions, I guess. Well, the atmosphere can be just as fickle and hard to understand, and there's different layers of it. And this layer, the 850 millibar layer, 5,000 feet up, is my favorite to watch, especially when looking for something to develop, and once it has developed, the health of the system. Let's go back real quick to this shot here, the vorticity signature. There is Karl, kind of oval shaped, but round nonetheless. And this vorticity signature kind of showing the frontal boundary, sort of a trough coming through here, where the energy is spread out over a larger area. It's not bundled. Tropical cyclones bundle their energy around that heat low, or the warm core, I should say, and that's what they look like when they get it all together. At least as healthy as Karl is. There's Lisa weakening, but there's its vorticity, and then here's the vorticity trying to come together for soon to be 97L. All right, so as we look at this, valid tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, the 25th, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. This would be the area of vorticity, very weak, but it's there, and you can see these different wind flags going counterclockwise, so we have rotation down here, no doubt about it. So why is it moving west? All right, well, here's your blob of air, so to speak, your large area of denser air, high pressure out here, literally like a mountain of air, all right? So the heights here are thicker in the atmosphere, like a contour map in geology or geography, whereas this is a trough of lower pressure in the atmosphere. So this captured Karl, and out it goes, caught in the trough itself and going around the northwest side of this strong eastern Atlantic ridge. Lisa, as weak as it is, will also follow the stream flow around this mound of air out here. Well, this is strong enough and thick enough in the atmosphere to keep this system moving south of it over time. So that's why it's going to be moving westward. And as you see, this energy up here, this trough, the lowering of the heights, kind of like a magnet. That's one way to look at it. It's not lower enough. These heights are not lowering enough. I mean, you can see here, the ridge kind of sticks out, keeping this system moving west as we go at the 48-hour time frame. And then finally, at 72 hours, the trough energy up here lifting out, the ridge starting to fill back into the west, and it keeps this system moving west. And you can see the stream flow down here. The trade winds very brisk, moving generally in a straight line here. Very easy to see that from east to west. All right, so that's why this isn't turning out into the Atlantic like Karl and Lisa did. And, it's farther to the south to begin with. As we're going out to day 4, 96 hours, vorticity signature improving, probably a tropical depression at this point in the model field. Does it happen in reality? Hey, check in Wednesday morning and we'll know. If you're in Barbados, you'll definitely know, because it looks like it could be headed straight for your location. But then look at the ridge here. Very strong high pressure building over the Atlantic. This is lower pressure in the atmosphere, this sort of bowling ball of energy coming through. But this is really holding strong and moving back to the west, building with the system, keeping it to the south of that ridge of high pressure. All right, so that's very important and will be important as we track this out into time. Finally, day 5, an interesting sort of crossroads here in the whole process. System is north of the South American coast by a decent margin, probably intensifying in here. Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, the ABC Islands down here need to keep an eye on this. Hopefully it'll travel far enough to your north. But here's that ridge there, big mountain of air sitting over the Atlantic, keeping this literally pushed down like a hand, just pushing on it, not letting it gain latitude. But then you have this little trough of low pressure trying to move off the east coast, weak as it may be. Will it be enough to erode the ridge here to allow this to gain more latitude towards Jamaica? And then what happens after that? No way to even speculate on it and be close to right. You can guess and say, well, this might happen or that might happen. And then you should know by now. When we look at a system like this, out into time, beyond 5 days, so many variables can take shape. The strength of the system itself has a lot to do with it, and then the upper air pattern over the United States, over North America. So, bottom line, it looks as if we're going to have quite a system to deal with over the coming days. First up, as I've mentioned, the Windward Islands more than likely. So certainly keep an eye out for that. I emphasize first and foremost the threat of very heavy rainfall, even if it's just an organizing tropical wave or a depression moving through. Very heavy rainfall, gusty winds would be the first thing I would be worried about. If it becomes a tropical storm beforehand, we'll know in enough time. I do believe that you'll have ample warning. More out of the question, or what is the word I'm looking for here? Less favorable scenario, I guess, is that it would be a hurricane before the Windward Islands. I don't see any indication of that. So, and I guess that's certainly good news there. But you folks in the Windwards, you're first. You watch this the closest. And after that, we'll have plenty of time to watch together, all right? But this will be a growing story in the weather community, unless all the models are wrong and we wake up one morning and they've all changed their mind. You remember that happened with 99L, is it, before it became Hermine? What a headache that was. But this looks like a different setup altogether, and I can go more into those details once we get into next week and this actually starts to take shape. All right? Well, that's it from me for this afternoon. Have a great rest of your Saturday. I am Mark Sept for HurricaneTrack.com. Of course, always appreciate your time and attention here as you watch either on YouTube or in our app, or if I post it on social media. However you come to find the video, I appreciate it very much. And I'll be back with more for you tomorrow.